بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is your dear brother Mustafa Mahmoud. Inshallah ta'ala, today we're going to focus into how to literally put words together, which is known as compounding words. In Arabic, we call it the topic of Idahfa. What is Idahfa? Is when you have a noun with a noun, you combine them together to have a complete meaning of the word that you want to mention or maybe to talk about. So for example, let's say you want to say the boy of Zayd. Now this is the example that the ulama, they use, the scholars of Arabic, they use this a lot. And you'll notice that when we look into our reading, it's constantly coming up. These type of words which are combined together, they constantly come up. Now if you say the son of Zayd, or maybe let's not use the son of Zayd, the boy of Zayd, you would say غلام زيد. غلام زيد. Zayd's boy. That's what it means. Another example that we can use inshallah in the Quran, when Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala says وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ, and the servants of the Rahman, the Rahman's servants, the merciful servants. It's simple as that, but then you need two words and there are rules that you need to follow. Now, rather than just focusing on vocabulary alone, it wouldn't be feasible if you don't look into some grammar as well. Why so? It's because it becomes difficult for you to grasp the Arabic words properly, and grammar is something you build along the journey as you move on, when you gather them, when you read more, and when you see them more, inshallah. We're going to have something a bit different bi'idhnillah al-kareem today. However, when it comes to what we're going to use as a resource, rather than going back to al-Arabiyyatu bayna yadayk, we're going to go directly to al-Qira'atu al-Rashida, and the whole purpose is so that you can be able to see how Arabic stories are written, basically at-ta'bir, and on top of that, you will be able to see that this is the methodology which you might find in the Quran, because when you're reading the Quran, you're literally reading a book, and the book, subhanallah, is more or less like it's talking back to you. Now, when you read a story, it's doing the same thing, but in this position that we're in, I want you to focus with me on seeing the compounding words, and then we can see how to extract them and how to use them according to the rules. Now, don't freak out and say that I'm going to escape the class because they're going to be grammatical rules. Whether we like it or not, when it comes to Arabic, you must learn the rules of grammar. You don't have grammar stuffed down your throat straight away. No, that's not how you do it. But you must learn some grammar as you move on, inshaAllah ta'ala. So let's get into the class. Now, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. If you look at the whiteboard, we said we have something called al-Idahfa. Al-Idahfa. That's what we're going to focus on, inshaAllah ta'ala. And for al-Idahfa, we said that this is known as compounding words. The example we used is غلام زيد. As you can see, غلام زيد. You can see that it's as simple as it is. غلام زيد, غلام means a boy, and Zayd means Zayd, isn't it? So Zayd's boy, you can say simply Zayd's boy, or the boy of Zayd, مثلا. Now, let me tell you something. What if you want to say, مثلا, in this case, you want to say Zainab's book or Muhammad's book. For example, someone asks you, whose book is this? You would say Muhammad's book. Isn't it simple as that? So let's look at that example and see how you can use it, inshaAllah ta'ala. Look. Liman, question, yeah? This is question, by the way. Seen means question, su'al. Liman hadha al-kitab? Liman hadha al-kitab? Liman hadha al-kitab? What does that mean? This book is for who? Okay, who is this book for? Basically, why is this book hanging around? So you would say as an answer, jawab, which is the jim. You might notice this when you read along in other books, when you study more Arabic. You say, kitabu Muhammad. Okay? What does this mean? Muhammad's book. Okay? Muhammad's book, simply put. Now you can see the simplicity of it. But we need to go look into a story, inshallah, and start looking into them as we try to dissect the story down grammatically and also vocabulary wise, mainly vocabulary wise, so you may see through it, inshallah ta'ala. So look through into the story. The first story that you find is كيف أقضي يومي. How do I literally fulfill my day? How do I complete my day? How do I literally have a full day? That's what it means. أنام مبكرا. I sleep early في الليل, in the night. وأقوم مبكرا, and I get up early في الصباح, in the morning. Now, mubakkir, the word mubakkir means early. So when you see it repeating constantly, it means early. Now the word sabah, you know, sabah is morning. Okay? And layl is night. And you will see that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala uses the word al-layl and also al-nahar a lot in the Quran. So he says, astayqibu ala. I get up, I wake up basically. The word astayqibu is waking up. Waking up. Whereas aqumu is getting up. You can use the word aqumu for standing, but not the word astayqibu. He says, I get up upon Ismillah. Now look at this. Ismillah wa dhikrihi, the name of Allah and His remembrance. Asta'iddu, I prepare lis-salati, for salah. Thumma, then adhabu, then I go. Ma'a walidi, with my father. Ila al-masjidi, to the masjid. Wal masjidu, and the masjid. Qareebun min bayti, it is close to my house. فأتوضأ وأصلي مع الجماعة. Then I do wudu, and then I pray مع الجماعة, with the jama'ah. وأرجع, and I return إلى البيت, to the house. وأتلو شيئا, and I recite something من القرآن الكريم, from the noble Quran. The word Kareem means noble. It means noble, inshallah. ثم, then أخرج, I exit, I go out basically. إلى البستان, I go out to the garden. وأجري, and I run. ثم, then أرجع إلى البيت, I return to the house. Now notice the word إلى البيت, إلى البيت, إلى البيت keeps on repeating. The word البيت means house. Alright? Not the al-bayk where you go to Saudi or Dubai and then you go for al-bayk restaurant. No, that's not what we're talking about. Al-bayt, the house, is written like this, al-bayt. فأشرب, then I drink al-labana, I drink yogurt, basically milk. وأستعد, and I prepare للذهاب, for going إلى المدرسة, to madrasa, basically school. وأفطر, I have breakfast إذا كانت أيام الصيف, if it is the days of summer. وأتغدى إذا كانت أيام الشتاء, and I have lunch basically rather than breakfast if it is the days of winter. وأصل, and I reach إلى المدرسة في الميعاد, to the madrasa in the appointed time, basically in time. وأمكث في المدرسة, and I stay in the madrasa 6 ساعات, 6 hours, 6 of the hours basically. وأسمع الدروس, and I listen to the durus, to the classes, to the lessons. بنشاط, with energy. ورغبة, and desire. وأجلس, and I sit. بأدب, with respect. وسكينة, and tranquility. حتى إذا انتهى الوقت, until when the time ends. وضرب الجرس, and the bell is rang. خرجت من المدرسة, I leave and exit from the madrasa. ورجعت إلى البيت, and I return to the house. Now, as you can see, the story carries on. It's a bit long, which we don't want to get into that. I just want you to focus on the first part of the story itself. The main purpose here now, as you can see, you take from the vocabulary such as mubakkir, as we said, meaning early, and also al-layl, meaning night, fi sabah, meaning morning, astayqidu ala ismillahi, the name of Allah, and then at the same time, I want you to take another one. You know the name, the word walid, meaning walidi, my father. You saw that in al-Arabiyyatu bayna yadayk. If perhaps you might find these vocabulary a bit strange, then I would tell you, look, ya ikhwa, it's best that you go to the previous classes that you find in the playlist. You notice that these vocabulary, we've looked into them. And just to advise you, inshallah, if you want these vocabulary with you and maybe handed to you as well, you may join our Telegram group, bi'idhnillahil kareem, where over there we give you updates for the academy and mostly with Arabic and fiqh related classes, inshallah ta'ala. Every time either we upload or give you quizzes or get you using your mind, get you to use your mind and keep you busy a little bit to see how much you've learnt and how far you've reached this level, inshallah. So for example, the word walidi, we've used the word walidi meaning my father. And you notice over here it's repeated itself again. So let's carry on with the story that we have, bi'idhnillah. So, إلى المسجد مثلا, to the masjid, and والمسجد قريب, المسجد قريب, قريب means close, as you know, and the masjid is close, من بيتي, from my house, for example, like that. Now, these vocabulary that I've just written over here, مبكرا, الليل, الصباح, والدي, مسجد قريب, you can note المسجد قريب, you notice that you have them with you, inshallah ta'ala. However, the purpose that we have in this lesson is to look at what about the compounding words that we intended to look into. Where are they? One of them is Ismillahi, the name of Allah. Whereas another one you might find is Ayyamus Sayfi, Ayyamush Shita'i. That's another one, although they are quite close. What about another one? ست ساعات. And that's basically it. Now you may notice when you look at those words, they are two words put together to complete a full meaning. And let me show you an example of how if you just have one, it wouldn't be complete basically, and it wouldn't make sense. Now before I go to break down to you that there are two types of compounding words, I just want to take you to the first type and focus on the first type alone, inshallah ta'ala, for this time. Understood? Just focus on the first type in itself. Bi'idhnillahil kareem. Now, we have words such as Ismullahi. Ismullahi. What does Ismullahi mean? Ism means name. Forgive my N, by the way. Allah means Allah, simply put. Allah means Allah. Now, how do you complete this? You say Allah's name. Allah's name. Allah's name. Or you say the name of Allah. You can say either one of these. They all make sense. So if I take the two words and I say, I will put ism on its own, and then I put the word Allah on its own, you would get this meaning name, especially if it has a dhamma only, or kasra only, or fatha only, but not fathatain, no kasratain, or dhammatain. Not any one of these. These will be wrong. Okay? If you see that the first noun ends with one diacritic now, which is only dhamma or fatha or kasra, any one of these three, then it remains incomplete. So you have now Allahi. You have the word Allahi, which is Allah. Individually, they wouldn't really make any sense. So it's just name, the ism means name, and Allah means Allah. So in order to have a complete meaning, you should do what? You should say Ismullahi, 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 like that. Ismullahi. Now Ismullahi would mean what? The name, as you saw, of Allah, of Allah. Understood? Simply put. However, the crisis comes here. If one does not know the rules, they will end up not seeing the difference as expected. So you should know the actual rules that you need, which when it comes to compounding words, it becomes much easier. Now this part is where I want you to pay attention. This part is where I want you to pay attention. Why? Because it's not difficult. It's very simple, but if you understand these rules, it becomes much easier for you to see through the lens of all of these other words that you see. It's like now, I'm giving you a tool, which in that tool, as a magnet, you can bring together all of the other compounding words that you will see out there, inshallah. You don't need to know the meaning. You just need to know the rule. And then once you know the rule, you take the meaning out of it, inshallah. You take the meaning from there. Because it's words. You might not know the meaning of the vocabulary, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't know the rule. That's the reality. We should not just advocate for vocabulary. Ya Jama'at al-Khair. It's not just vocabulary. It's far beyond vocabulary. Al-ulama, they say, جَمِّلِ الْمَنْطِقَ بِالنَّحْوِ فَمًا. You have to literally beautify your tongue with nahu. And not even tongue alone. Your speech has to be beautified by nahu, grammar. If your grammar is weak and you just know vocabulary, that is a aib. That is an embarrassment. It's a shame, especially for a talibul ilm, to a student of knowledge. It's not just about putting together vocabulary upon vocabulary upon vocabulary. Yes, vocabulary takes you far, but without grammar, the vocabulary does not really differentiate itself from anything else. Because grammar shows you, okay, it shows you who is the subject, who is the object, and what is the action taking place. And far beyond that, inshallah ta'ala. There's so many things that you notice in grammar. It tells you the difference of what you should know from what you are reading. And grammar is what gives you the ability to do what? To read with no diacritics. Grammar gives you the ability to read with no diacritics. Let's carry on. Let's see what are the rules, bi'idhnillah. So rule number one, you notice that both words should be nouns. Aywa, you cannot have a verb or a preposition and say it's fine. No, they have to be nouns. They have to be nouns. Rule number two. It relates to the first noun. The first noun. The first noun, as you can see, number one, it should end with one type of diacritic. Because as you know, we have two types. We have two types mainly two types. And those are, as you can see, those are two fathas, two kasras, two dhammas. And these are known as at-tanween. Okay? At-tanween. So the reason why I said two types of diacritics, or one type of diacritic, is to make it easy for you. You might not know what a tanween is. This is a tanween. To begin with, this is a tanween. So you can say it should end, or it should not end. It should not end with, if you wipe this off, with a tanween. It should not end with a tanween. That's number one. Okay. Number two, this same one, number two, it should not begin with alif and lam. Alif and lam. This is known in grammar as lamut ta'rif. Lamut ta'rif. Now, I'm being a bit technical here, I know, but if this feels a bit difficult, I don't want you to focus on all of these the technicalities. I just want you to focus on what is needed. And I'm going to demonstrate for you, inshallah ta'ala, all this what I'm talking about, so you can see it with your own eyes. It should not begin with alif and lam. It should not begin with alif and lam. I'll explain it to you. Be patient with me. And the next thing, it has to be unidentified. Unidentified. Okay? What do we mean by this? It has to be nakirah. In Arabic you call it has to be in a state of nakirah. Nakirah. Now when you understand this, it means, for example, you have the word bayt. It shouldn't be al-bayt. Al-bayt, as you can see. It cannot be al-bayt. Al-bayt. Nor can it be baytun. Baytun. Any one of these. This is wrong and this is wrong. What does it do? What does it do? When you have this here, alif and lam, it identifies the word. It identifies the noun. Yeah. But don't look into that. Just know this is wrong and the other one is wrong. These two are wrong. It should be just like this. Okay? This one type of diacritic. What is it? Either one fatha, one kasra, or one dhamma. Any one of these. That's it. That's it. You could only find any one of those, inshaAllah ta'ala. And that's for the first one, inshaAllah. That is for the first one. What about the second noun? What about the second noun? What about the second noun now? The second noun, its rule. The second noun, its rule. Number one, it has to end in a state of khafd. When we say khafd, what do we mean? When we say khafd, khafd means ending in a state of al-jar. Al-jar. Al-jar in English we write it as al-jar, like that. Al-jar. What does al-jar mean? What does al-jar mean? If I merely tell you that the word should end in a kasra, that wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be fair. What do I mean by that? If I tell you that it should end with a kasra, that wouldn't be fair. Because look, you might have the word, let's say, Allah, the word Allah, it can end with a kasra. You might have the word, let's say, Muhammad, the name Muhammad. The name Muhammad is identified. It's the name of a human being, isn't it? It can end with Muhammadin, with two kasras as well. You can also have, let's say, for example, madrasa. You can use the word madrasa. Madrasa can end with a kasra as well. But then there are nouns in Arabic. That are known to not end with a kasra, that do not accept a kasra at the end. Such nouns are, for example, Ibrahim, the name Ibrahim, basically non-Arab names, Ibrahim, such as, for example, the name Ismail, such as, for example, you have a name such as Ishaq, and so forth. Now, is that the exception alone, that they are non-Arab names? No, that's not the exception alone. Lakin, I just want you to leave like that, simply put. So the word Ibrahim, mathalan, it would end with a fatha. The word Ismail would end with a fatha. The word Ishaq would end with a fatha, just like that. And that's how these are put together. But I don't want you to focus on these either. I'm just giving you these as a side tangent. What I want you to focus on are the simple ones, very simple ones. Look, mathalan, we took the word bayt and we said it has to be as baytu and plus Allah, baytullah, isn't it? You notice that the word Allah has to end with in a state of kasra, has to be in a state of kasra. Now, are there any other rules at the moment? No. For the second noun, you don't need a rule. It has to be a noun, however. The second noun, number one is it has to end in a state of khafd, and number two, it has to be a noun. It has to be a noun. I will just tell you that, which you already know. You don't need further explanation. So, Baytullahi, okay, Baytullahi, the house of Allah. Mathalan, you have ayyamu, as you found in the book, ayyamu shita'i. Ayyamu shita'i, what does this mean? We said the days of winter. The days of winter. Or you could say simply winter days. Winter days, like that. When we say Yawmul Eid, مثلا, Yawmul Eid, Yawmul Eid, what does this mean? Eid day. That's what it means. Or the day of Eid. Now you notice the second word, all of what you were not supposed to do for the first one, it is permissible and accepted for the second word. However, the second word has to end with a kasra. Inshallah ta'ala. So these are the examples that you saw. This is how it is, and I would sincerely advise you. I know this might be very difficult maybe for the rules and all of that, all of the other things, but I'm trying to be as easy as I could. I'm trying to make it as simple as I could, so that the most simplest of that. Now, if for example, I promise you, for the grammarians or students that understand grammar, when they come to this class, so that I can just make it easy for your conscience, and they notice that this is the way I taught it, they would literally see how much I've tried to water it down for you, so you may see through it. Because if we want to break down actually compounding words according to what grammar requires from us, at the very basic, there are rules that you need to follow. But you don't need to do all of that. I just want you to focus on this one thing, so you can literally see through the examples that you might find, inshallah. Let's go to the Quran now and see exactly how we can find them in there, bi'idhnillah al-kareem. Look at this example. Ibadur Rahman, the servants of Ar-Rahman. Exactly what I told you. Only one dhamma, not two dhammas. Only one dhamma. And Ar-Rahman, see Ar-Rahman, there's al-alif and lam at the end, there's a kasra at the end. In this case, very simple, you spot it out. وَعِبَادُ Rahman, and the servants of the Ar-Rahman. Another example, قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. This is a dua which says وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. What does this mean? And those who say, O our Master, grant us, gift us from our spouses and our progenies, قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ, peace of the eye, comfort of the eye. The eye is comfort. So قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ, it means the comfort of the eye. That's what it means. Comfort. The word قُرَّة means comfort. Eyes. أعين means eyes. So how would you say eyes comfort? You would say the eyes comfort, or comfort of the eyes. That's what you would say. Simply put, that's another example. Let's look for another one. And you can see it's following the rules. أليس كذلك? It's following the rules. قُرَّةَ, one fatha, and no alif and lam at the beginning. The word is unidentified, but the second word, it doesn't have to be identified. It can be identified. It doesn't have to be identified. It's fine, as long as it ends with a kasra. It ends with a kasra. أعيُنٍ, like that, inshallah ta'ala. Can we have another example? أيوة, شوف. هذا, and we did this in a previous class. هذا خلق الله, the creation of Allah. The creation of Allah. Look at the word khalq. Khalq means creation. Allahi, with a kasra at the end. But the word Allah is very much known. What does Allah mean? It means the name of Allah Himself. Another example. مثقال حبة. مثقال means weight. Weight. Habba means atom, or a grain. Habba can mean grain. Habba means grain as well. So what does this mean? Weight of the grain. The weight of a grain. Now when I say weight of a grain, you already understand immediately that in the Quran Allah says, even if there is a weight of a grain, which of your deeds that you've done, Allah will hold you accountable for it. Bear that in mind. Mithqala habba. Mithqala habba. The weight of a grain. Now look at the rules that we've just been speaking about. We said it can be fatha, kasra, dhamma, any one of those, but it has to be one. Isn't it? One kasra, one fatha, or one dhamma for the first word. It shouldn't have alif and lam at the beginning. This one doesn't have as well. But this one can have alif and lam at the beginning of it or not, and it can be identified or not. However, it has to end with a kasra, and it can be either one kasra or two kasras, kasratain. Now just to remind you again, a tanween is that which has two kasras, two fathas, two dhammas. Any one of those known as a tanween. If it's not two of any one of them, then it's not a tanween, inshallah ta'ala. For example, like this one, khardalin, the word lam, this lam ending with two kasras, is a tanween, khardalin, like that. Look at this example. Adhabis sa'ir, adhabis sa'ir. Adhab means punishment, whereas as-sa'ir means fire, the burning fire. So adhab is sa'ir. If you put those two words together, the punishment of the hellfire, the punishment of the blazing fire, basically. Adhab is sa'ir. Now look, the second one started with alif and lam, ended with a kasra, whereas the first one had no alif and lam at the beginning, not two fathas, no two kasras, no two dhammas. Instead, it had one kasra. And there are so many other examples. But I would want to go to the most simplest of surahs so you can see with your own eyes, inshallah. You can see with your own eyes, inshallah. Look at Surah An-Nas. Malikin Nasi. Malik means what? The king. An-Nas means people. So what do you say? The king of people. Ilahin Nas. Ilah means Lord, isn't it? An-Nas, people. The Lord of people. The people's Lord. Min sharril waswasi. Al-waswas means whispers. And sharri means evil. Okay, evil. So you say the evil whispers, or the whispers of the whispers of the evil, isn't it? From the evil whispers of Al-Khannas. Alladhi yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas. Sudur means chest, and nas means people. Now you can say people's chests, you can say the chests of people. Simply put, and this is an example that I've just shown you right now from Surah An-Nas, so you may see with your own eyes and understand the beauty of exactly what to expect when you are reading the Quran. And that's just one example of the many grammatical examples that you see how beautiful grammar is. And also you can see through these, as long as you read and you follow the rules. You have to follow the simplest of rules. I promise you I've given you the most simplest, and I keep on reiterating on this. And as I reiterate, it's because I want you to look through it and see that it's not hard. You just need to know the steps of doing so. So you've learned the vocabulary. The greatest secret that you can take from this is that as you can see the class being digested, or maybe broken down, as you digest the class and we break it down for you, you write down the vocabulary and you write down the meaning of it. And at the same time, you look at the compounding words and you understand the rules of how they look like. And then you start putting them together. And if you want further assistance, what you do is join the Telegram group, inshallah. And you can see the link below in the description. And then from there, you'll be able to get the step-by-step of answers if you have any questions bi'idhnillahil kareem. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you ease and acceptance. Inshallah ta'ala, in the next class, what we are going to do is look into how do we identify a noun, how do we know the difference between a noun and a verb, and how do we differentiate these two from the preposition, so you may see the differences between each one of them, and then you can take it from there بإذن الله. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه.